This is something to hold us. Where our mission is to bring us closer to our emotions to understand not only who we are, but who we want to be. Today I have joining me.
Cal, the artist.
Um, it's my pleasure to have you, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule. We start this podcast off with the community meeting. I'm going to ask you three questions, okay?
Cool, cool.
How are you feeling today?
Actually feeling really great. Got a chance to get up early, get my boys out to the gym, move our body, a little something. Got a good stretch, good workout in, then jump right into work. So I'm saying we're in the fold, we right in the mix of it. So
All right, and it's a lot of day left, so it sounds like
yeah,
you're having a very productive one.
absolutely.
What's your goal for today or this week?
Probably to get through. I got a couple of commission works that are on the table. Um, I got two paintings to finish before the 13th of this month. So I definitely got some big projects ahead of me as far as time management goes. And then there's like one Louis Vuitton bag that I've been customizing that I got to get around to.
Oh, you got a lot on your plate.
Yes and no. I'll definitely get into like a groove of things where, for lack of better terms, I'm like on crackhead time, and it's just go go go, and then I'll get hit with a wave of unproductiveness.
Well, you got
um,
you. Well, I assume that's like when you got all the creativity out.
nah, not so much. Sometimes when I'm in that space where I'm not doing anything at the moment, that's when all these ideas they'll just be like pouring in. And it's more so about the time management and getting ahead of the schedule and basically getting ahead of my kids' schedule. That's probably the biggest part.
Damn, there's a lot we want. I can touch on in that, but I don't want to get too off of schedule. The last question I do want to have to ask you is, who can you ask for help?
Oof. The last 3 years, maybe even four, I've been put in a position where I had to look around and ask for help, and it's not always the easiest thing. But always get help from my mom, their grandmother. I get help from their mother as well, even though we're not together. Just having open communication, and despite whatever we're going through, if I do ask for help, she'll I'm saying come through, and vice versa. I get a lot of help from some of my close friends. Like I struggle with even calling them friends because they're more like family
And
members.
that's what
They
it becomes.
they could spend a night at my crib and I ain't even there. So it's like that type of bond, family.
And you're very lucky to have that type of bond because more people I meet, I realize people can't really identify those type of people in their lives.
Oof. And it comes by surprise because uh, you never figure like, oh, damn, it's this person or is that like I would have you the last person I would have think that was gonna come through.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's the people that are always, I'm saying, in the shadows, and they checking up on you, or they constantly just within arm's reach, and we tend to kind of push those people away, or we don't pay them as much of attention as they pay us. And sometimes you gotta slow down and be like, man, let me check up on my big sis. Man, let me check
Yeah,
up on such and such. They always checking up on me.
and it's interesting though because like you said, you don't. They'll be around you checking up on you, and often you don't know that they're checking up on you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
We
know.
gotta understand the language that they're doing it with,
Hmm.
and the means of which they're reaching out. Um, Sometimes it doesn't come in the form that you would like it to. Oh man, I wish my my brother would hit me up. I'm saying with a couple $100, but if he calls me and he's just yo, how the boys, da 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 da, that's his way of doing that. I'm saying,
Yeah,
and I got to be open to that. That's all that is.
yeah, I get that. I get that. Can you give me one fact about yourself?
Where do I start? There's so many facts.
Give the people a good one.
I like to plant seeds. That's my mindset. I like to see what someone else has to offer, and then, oh, this is all you need to do to make this happen, or XYZ, and just kind of like helping people figure out the game plan.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do that for myself, obviously, but when I could do it from the outside looking in and kind of see something grow,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think those are the things that I really like relish in, and coaching is one of the things that put me in that mind state.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's probably one of the bigger facts about myself that I think people won't get, obviously, in first glance or their first encounter with me. We'll probably talk about art or something else like along the lines of fashion or music, but they don't really get to see uh, I guess the inner coach in me or something like that.
Um, do you feel like there's more that you can do to portray that inner coach or to
Um,
show that that's there?
I think a lot of people might be able to see it via the way I treat my kids.
Okay.
I think that's their first encounter with that side of me, and maybe in the gym, or if we talk enough and I get to see what you're interested in, and we get these conversations going. I'm like, well, what are you doing with your talent? What are you doing with your time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you plan on getting from point A to point B? Like, always asking those questions, because I want people to ask me those questions too.
And I respect that. You got to give yourself more credit though, because I don't know you very well, and I think I've met you twice in person. And the
Yeah,
first time
for
was through a
sure.
mutual friend. You might have been at that same restaurant, and the second time was like, oh, I remember seeing you and having that conversation. It's like, all right, let me dive a little deeper, and just through that small conversation, you're like, all right, how can I support you? And it's by coming on to my podcast, and I hope that um, you can use this platform as a give and take. You know.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely can. One of the things that I was sitting there and talking to my close circle about was taking these opportunities to sit down and talk about the art, talk about myself. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people might, you know what I'm saying, I joke about this all the time. They think that I'm a mute or something like that. And then I'll pull up at a bar or something, and people see me by myself, and they'll hang out with me for maybe 20, 30 minutes, and they'll be like, damn, I didn't know this dude was that funny, or I didn't know you were that inquisitive, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever the case may be. But they believe in their heart of hearts that I'm some type of mute, and I only speak with artwork or posting through Instagram or something like that. I think a lot of people get stuck behind the the Instagram allure,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that you can only communicate but so much on there.
Are you conscious of who you give your energy to?
Now more so than ever.
Do you feel like that plays a role in the assumptions that people make about you?
Absolutely do. Um and more times than not they're completely wrong. They think I'm some type of, because I don't eat pork or red meat. They'll stop right there and be like, "Oh, he's a vegan.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
got locks. He got a nose ring. He probably listened to Cambodian flutes, and they come up with their,
Bluegrass.
yeah. They come up with their own um, version of who Cal the artist is,
I
and
don't.
then I'm like, bro, I listen to Future. I like Kodak Black,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I still, you know what I'm saying, one of my favorite artists, all encompassing, would be Kendrick. So
Okay.
it's like there's so many different layers and there's so many different nuances to who I am. And on the surface, people will look at me and be like, "Oh man, that sweater, da 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 da," and they
Mm-hmm.
think they got me pegged. They think they know me, but
No, that's
There's a lot more to it.
like they say about the books, right? It's more than just a
Uh,
cover.
yeah, no, because I judge so many books by the cover, and
Look at
and
you
I
talk.
still
So
do. I
so that's
still
like, but
do.
that's like you saying
I know it's a bad
people
habit.
judging you and then you judging other
It's a
people.
bad. Hey, man, I'm learning. I'm learning.
I
I
love
do
it.
it all the time,
I love it.
and you know what?
It's a process.
I've been blown away many a times,
Hmm.
especially like my good friend Manny. He'll put me on the books left and right, and I'll look at the cover and I'm like, man, this shit look boring as shit. I don't know. And then I'll dive deep into it and be like talking about the book for the next 2 years
Hmm.
and what I learned, or I'll be going back to them back and forth. And I think left up to me, I would have been looking at everything, giving it that eyeball test. Like, all right, this doesn't look too good. This don't look too promising.
Hmm.
Uh.
And I feel that, and it's one of those things where messages always come right on time. It's whether you can see them or not.
Absolutely. And more often than not, me saying yes and more recently has been the deciding factor for those growing moments. Like before, I would be closed off or wall myself off from these types of opportunities, or if somebody put me onto a book, I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it, and it never really happens. like I probably wouldn't have been sitting here a year ago if we had that conversation at the bar and you'd be like, "Yo, pull up on me." Da 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 da. Like, yeah, we'll catch up.
One of those, the finger guns,
I
walking
got
away
you.
backwards.
Yeah, yeah. But now following through on my word, and then being open to more opportunities, being open to more conversations and things of that nature.
Oh, okay. I don't. This is me getting off subject, but I do have to double back and mention this because, like, I am one of those people talking about judging. I am one of those people, and they hit you with the, yeah, I don't eat pork, I don't eat red meat. I gotta let them know I'm about that swine life, and I'm gonna have that bacon on my plate, and I am thinking you're probably vegan or pescatarian. So
uh,
I'm working on that too.
so this the thing, right? Everybody not gonna sit here and judge you and yuck your yum or vice versa. I'm saying if you eat pork, we at the table. That's all good. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this guy. I don't know, man. I
Hmm.
gotta I gotta judge him over here now. He might not be such a outstanding citizen like I
Yo,
thought.
but it be the thickest people that be judging me about eating pork. I ain't gonna lie. If you- but let's get back on track.
Oh man.
Let's get back on track. Um, who or what is your community?
My tribe is a very eclectic one. I think it consists of people that are self-aware.
Hmm.
Um, it consists of a group of people that actually see me. Like there's so many people I encounter during my day, and I feel like uh, I'm just what do you call them things? An NPC in
Yeah, the
somebody else.
NPC.
I'm like, bro, there's so many layers to me, and there's so many. I'm saying different things that I like to talk about, this, that, and the third. And I'll come across some people that literally are on a script and they believe that I should be on a script too.
Mm.
And once I break that script, they're like, they almost melt down in front of you. Like, oh, I all I asked you was how your day was, and
Right?
and then they overload. But I kind of relish living in those moments and seeing people sweat now and be like, all right, uh, just me being genuine and me being myself and
Hmm.
seeing how that kind of weeds out those extras.
Yeah,
It's been working in my benefit, bro. Just being more genuine, more intentional when it comes to conversation.
that's something I'm working on as well. I think when it comes to being more genuine, how do you keep yourself engaged in conversations that don't necessarily interest you as much with people?
Oh man, I'm so happy you asked that because I cannot stand small talk. And this goes back to the point that you were making. We only sat down and talked for a collective of maybe 45 minutes altogether before sitting down here, right? And in those two meetings, you felt like you learned something different each time, and it wasn't one of those, oh, hey, how you doing, blah blah blah, what's new, how's the fam, da, 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 da. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with talking about the weather, but like, all right, once you get into those talking points, how do you transition? And then what did you learn from the last conversation that helps you in the next conversation? And am I actually listening to what you're saying right here, right now? And what does that have to do with my next talking point? So I'm constantly asking the who, what, where, why, when, as you're talking to me, I'm calculating, I'm putting those, formulating my next question, formulating the next part of the conversation, and just being in the moment. I think that's what a lot of people lack, you know, and they're just like ready to, all right, yeah, it's 48 degrees today. Yeah, it's crazy.
Did you hear about the wind chill?
Like, nah, man, I could barbecue in this weather. And then they look at me like, what?
Yeah, yeah. I picked up what you're putting down. So you like the intention behind the conversation, and I like that just as much. It's like really figuring out who we are, because recently I've taken on a role helping my friend at a nonprofit. It's called Mosaic Coalition, where I'm trying to help him expand and get start creating events and get more exposure. And one of the pillars of it is Ubuntu. And I didn't know what that was, but I think it's like a Swahili term, and it means, I could be getting this wrong, but I think this is right. It means I am because you are.
Mm,
So it's like this whole togetherness. It's I am everything I am because you are everything you are. And the more I find out about you, the more I can apply your way of living, your philosophies, either apply them or understand a way of living that I don't want to have for
wow.
myself.
That's super dope. Only because literally the light bulb just went off in my head, and I'm like, this is exactly why I paint what I paint, and the subject, the the meanings around them is. And I've had shows where I got to talk to people and tell them, like, literally, I'm holding the mirror up for you. It's not like I'm painting these portraits because I want this attention. It's like, because if that was the case, I would have painted a whole bunch of self portraits and called
Hmm.
it a day. But I'm painting um, portraits that remind you of your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents. And when you flip through my work, you should sit down and think like, man, this reminds me of being in my grandparents' crib and flipping through the album book, like stuff like that. So the fact that that term kind of like made me think of my work in that term. Oh man, like I gotta do my little due diligence and figure out this. Well, you said it was Swahili or
I believe so. That's what I was told. But it's called Ubuntu.
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 I
Definitely look
got I
into
gotta
it.
look that up now.
And you said that you wanted a couple moments ago. You said that this was an opportunity for you to really talk about the art. So let's talk about it.
Mm.
When did you start to create art?
I might have been drawing since I was like 5 or 6,
Okay.
and really running away from it in the same breath. Being good at something, and my mindset was I just want to be cool, right? So I didn't want to look like I was trying too hard at anything. So as the talent kind of developed, um, you gotta essentially put in the work to get better at anything that you do.
Mhm.
So I would kind of like explode with drawing books and little opportunities to flex. And then once people would be like, oh, this is amazing, you should do XYZ, and give me a focus or give me something to attain, then I'm like, nah, I kind of just like doing it this way. I want like and attaching myself to something that had nothing to do with nothing, like playing football or getting into boxing or whatever. And full circle, they all correlate to who I am as a whole, but never really diving too deep because I thought trying was, for lack of better terms, just not cool.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until maybe 2013, 2014, I had got a gift from a former boss. It was like a little set of canvases and paints, and I hadn't painted um, like ever. I might have had one class that was a prerequisite in college, and that was my first time painting ever.
So solely up to this point, you've just been drawing
Just
sketches.
drawing,
Okay.
and I got into graphic design because now I'm in college, and uh, football, sports that didn't pan out the way that I thought it would as far as playing in college,
Mhm.
and um, now I had to switch gears. I started with sports medicine, and as much as I love that, I didn't see how I could connect the dots and still, fall in love with it for another 4 years, or another 2 years in the program that I was in. I was just like so just exhausted with schoolwork at that point that I was just like, I got to do something that's more natural to my abilities.
Mhm.
And it was like, how can I incorporate drawing again? And up until that point, I had always been into like um, creating logos of sorts and just things in that nature, where I would create graphic tees and things like that since I was like in the seventh grade. So I was like, let me apply it to graphic design. I ended up getting my degree in there in the field, and that's what put me, on the path of painting.
So
It was taking those prerequisites, the drawing one and the painting, and I didn't like it at first because it was reminding me that I put down my gift, I put
yeah.
down my thing, and all that time that I had, left on the shelf, I saw everybody progressing and getting a lot better through repetition, and I was like, man, that's a lot of time wasted. But instead of diving deeper into the artwork, I still kept running away from it. And again, fast forward to my boss giving me this gift. It was like a really cheap set of paints, something that you would get a kid. And I was just like, man, what the hell is this? Left that thing alone for a large part of the year. And I was really bored, really depressed
Mhm.
at one point. And I picked up the little sets of paint just to kill some time. And when I posted the work after I was done, a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" Like blah 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 blah. And then I started hearing those comments again when I was a kid, like, "You should go for this," and da 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 da, and giving me that direction again. And I felt like I was in the third grade all over. Except this time I had an opportunity to try and really care about it and really put some intention towards it. And I went up and down with it and trying to figure out my style and try to figure out what I was trying to convey as far as an artist goes and what do artists talk about, you know? And that put me on this whole roller coaster ride of figuring out who I like, what I like, actually going out to galleries, going out to museums, seeing real artwork, you know, and having conversations with people. What do they like?
Okay, and I think so in that process, you said you're trying to figure out like what's your message, like how do you convey what you're doing. As an artist, how did you come up on the theme that you have now, which is like having people reflect on who they are, being able to see like themselves in your art.
Um, Again, I had mentioned I like being around people that actually hear me and see me. So once I started painting the portraits of those people that I see and the people that I hear in my everyday conversation,
Hmm.
even people I'm in contact with on via social media, like I have real connections with them, and although we're not always in the same state or even uh, on the same page as far as talking consistently, like we'll keep up, and when we get right back to being in the same vicinity, it's like we ain't never disconnected. So using the artwork and kind of painting them in my life, and then seeing that, oh shit, we still connected, like we still here, da 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 da. I could still hear you, still see you in this way. And when you post a picture um with your family or whatever, and I'm like, I just had a conversation with my best friend about what the family life is missing, and this, that, and the third, and this picture that they just posted conveys the message that we were just talking about. I'm gonna paint that. And then when I paint said portrait um and put it up in the gallery, these are the conversations that are actually being had. So like when I have those moments where you see everything come full circle, it's just like mind blowing. And then again, the conversations that everyone is having in that space becomes magnified. It's just amazing. There's no other word I could attach to it.
I gotta come to one year art gallery. It sounds like quite
Oh
the
man.
experience.
Um I think everybody that ends up making their first I guess their first appearance in one of these gallery shows, they're always blown away at the work in person. They're like, pictures don't do it justice. You got to come see the drips. You got to come see all the small nuances. And oh, I thought this was so detailed, but when I come up close to it, it's just a little smudge right there. But when I step back, I can see you're something different. Like,
Mm.
those are the conversations you can't have unless you're on the ground. You know what I'm saying? So I encourage everybody to get up, get out, and actually see art. If you follow anybody on your Instagram that you like their artwork, get up and figure it out. Go see their shows, go to their group shows, buy a print, buy an original piece of work, commission them.
Mm.
But get out there and actually see it, feel it, be in the moment.
So I have two questions for you. One, what was that? One, your boss is very thoughtful for getting you that set, regardless how cheap.
Absolutely, absolutely was.
What was the image you painted on that?
Um, One of my first crushes. I'm super weird like this. I had a big crush on Flojo.
Mm.
I was like in the second, third grade, and we were watching something on the Olympics, and I just remember seeing her and them nails and the hair, and I was just like, I don't know what third grader. It's just like, man, those legs.
He said, he said that's art.
I, I was a little creep, and I just remember being in love with this woman, and I was like 8 years old, and that's one of the things that I like to do with my artwork is kind of like set myself back into these um, mindsets that I was in, where I was either really inquisitive or I had a burst of, I don't know, creativity, and everybody noticed it. I'm like, let me go back to that. What did I do then? Or what was I watching then? And let me filter everything through that lens.
Okay. Let's make you have so many things I want to ask you. I don't want to
Ask
get
it
off
all.
task, but so speaking of first, when was your first art gallery?
It might have been. 2014, I had this opportunity to be in a group show. It was Valerie Cooper with her, um, I believe her company is called Picture That. And she was a part of the art walk in Stanford. And someone had forwarded me like the this email of how to submit work, XYZ, and I might have had a handful of paintings at the time because, like I said, I would go off on a tangent where I was just like painting left and right, and then things would kind of come to a halt. But I might have had a nice little war chest of paintings at the time, and ranging all over the place from abstract stuff to portraits, a little bit of mixture of both. I was trying to figure out what my style was at that point. Um, and she liked a couple of the pieces, and when we ended up submitting the work, I remember going into the space that the artwork was in, and it was like the old Stanford Town Hall. And I walked in that back room, and she had literally devoted this one back wall to me. And it was, I might have had 4 or 5 paintings. And it was like in this room that was, it used to be a safe, like a bank vault. So I remember just walking through the door of this bank vault and seeing all my work on this one wall. And it was like the last room, and just having this feeling like, oh man, I could do this for real. Like,
Can you give me some emotions that were running through you?
definitely goosebumps. I remember watching uh, the handful of people that were in the room and having that moment to kind of drink it in and be like, oh, they don't even know I'm the one that did these. And let me try to get a little bit closer. It's your only opportunity to be that fly on the wall, like we all said we want to be, and in certain situations. Um, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. I remember seeing the gears turning in one of the guys' heads, and then I tried to pull out my phone and sneak a little picture, and I might still have that somewhere in my phone. But it was a really cool feeling and a dope experience to see all the possibilities, right? Because once I saw it up on that wall all by itself, I walked through the threshold of this funky door. I was just like, wow, yeah, I could do this for real. And then having those feelings kind of rehashed as I would go to other museum shows or other galleries, not my own, but seeing other people's work and people that I admire and being like, oh, I've got work this caliber too. I could put my work up on this wall and I could hang. You
Mm.
know.
So I can imagine that being one of the moments that you possibly go back to and use as inspiration for the next piece. Could you give me another memory or another piece of inspiration that you used that you?
Um, Another time I was just like in a really, I don't want to even say it was a dark space, but I was like, when you're just coming out of the tunnel, you're trying to figure stuff out, you getting back out there again, you're like, you know what? Even if nobody want to take this field trip with me, I'm gonna jump on the train. I'm gonna do what I do and figure out what I like. Cause ain't nobody else is gonna sit here and be like, "Yo, let's do X, Y, Z. I know you like that." I'm like, I gotta figure these things out. So I jumped on the train. I was going to the Met Brewer to see this Kerry James Marshall exhibit. He's one of my favorite artists. Um, and I remember walking through those doors, and again feeling that same, oh wow, I could do this. But this time it was on steroids because I saw how big his paintings were, and I immediately thought I got to be more ambitious. I got to be way more brave. I've got to just put it all out there, in terms of size, subject matter, and don't be afraid to hold back in any conversation. And I could see his pictorial language, and I was like, you know what? You have your own language. And up until that moment, I was getting a lot of lazy comparisons, to a lot of other artists. And I started to see that they were comparing my work to those artists for the simple fact that they were black. And I was like, oh man, uh, a lot of my work actually looks like Carrie James Marshall's stuff, or it feels like this because I'm trying to invoke these emotions, but everybody's putting me in this box. I like that box too, but my box is more like this one. Y'all should put me in this conversation. And I'm weird like that, where I like to categorize things in the right space. I was always that kid at you know what I'm saying, cleanup time, that like, nah man, these go over here and those go over there. Like,
Nice. There's the order thing.
yeah, so when they would put me in the wrong box, I would almost take it to offense. Or I'd be like, you just saying anything. You just because we black and we both got dreads, you putting us in this box. Or again, like I said, I don't eat pork, and they think I'm
Oh,
this holier than thou XYZ, and I'm like, no, I listen to Future.
Future not gonna save you, my boy.
I heard Future was a vegan though, but
Nah, don't. Let's not talk about that.
I'm just saying.
Well, okay. I like that. You can't. I like that you have your own. I want to call it your own dialect that you're trying to have people understand, and it's not just,
Absolutely.
you're not trying to uh be in this group. This is not. I don't want to say, for lack of a better term, it's not just. It's not Ebonics. This is Cal the artist.
The way that I talk is based off me communicating with my kids. And I just want them to understand everything to
Hmm.
the fullest extent. Because then now you have the opportunity to make the right decision,
Hmm.
or you got the opportunity to carry on the conversation, in the best way possible. You understand? So if we're at a clear understanding, and if I could paint a picture for you via um, my analogies, I'm gonna do that too.
Hmm.
It's just one more way that we can communicate on a whole nother level. I remember there was this episode of the Cosby Show, and Theo was working on a paper, and he had got like a C the first time around. And he was like, but I used all the big words and I did XYZ, and this teacher just hates me. And fast forward through the episode, he's talking to a little kid, and this little girl that was, I think, either Olivia's friend or Rudy's friend was just like, uh, you gotta be more descriptive, and you gotta break it down in a way that people are gonna understand. And the analogy she made was like, if he was saying that he was scared, she was just like, why don't you say you felt like a kitten on a roller coaster? And instantly I was just like, I felt that. And I was just like, all right, that's how I got to communicate with people. And I've been on that trip, off and on since I might have been in middle school. That's how I just started, communicating with people. Like, and then once I saw that it worked, I was like, all right, let me pull from every little source of information that I've ever come across to make these correlations and make the dots connect.
Hmm.
And it's been working.
Yeah, because words are so powerful.
They absolutely
But
are.
if we don't start from a place of understanding, it's like wielding a weapon, a gun with no bullets. Lack
I
of a better
think
word.
that I aim to communicate um, with the heart that I want to understand at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Whether we're gonna have a discussion, an argument, or if we gonna fight, I'm gonna understand you at the end of the day.
Cause
You gonna understand me.
I understand me already. All I need to do is understand you. That's my piece.
Mhm.
Now, what you get for your piece is up to you.
That's it right there for sure.
Could you share with me a pivotal life experience?
Oof. There's so many. It's like, how do I narrow that one down? I would say give me some more direction. Like I'm 34, bro. It's been so many turns and so many pivotal
Oh,
moments. And
we're
I'm
gonna
like,
personally when I tell you more in the next 30 minutes or so, I think we're gonna touch on a couple pivotal experiences. So, like for this one, I want to let's touch on what really got you to stop running from your gift. Also, acknowledging earlier you said spending time on a whole lot of nothing, and then you caught yourself and realized that coming full circle, they all play a role into who you are.
um, the thing that got me to stop running from it was me actually sitting down and going back in my memories and being like, all right, what did I do here? How did that pan out for me? And I realized it was this cycle. And every time that I would get these accolades and hit these milestones, it was me running away from the idea of what success looks like at the end of the day for said thing. Because now there's pressure put on me. It's like I had an art teacher in high school, Miss Conrad, and there was another one, Miss Moncure, and they loved my work, like, and they were always trying to push me, like, you should do X Y Z, you should take AP classes, you should do da 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 da. And I'm like, nah, miss, I'm trying to play football. I'm trying to ball out here. And our football team at best was like a 500 team. And I'm sitting there like,
Putting
nah,
everything
man.
into it.
I'm going to the league.
For those listeners, what position did you play?
I played defensive back. I was a returner. I played a little wide receiver. Better on defense than offense. I ain't gonna hold you. A lot more aggressive than anything. And I could swim. I could swim. That's about it. I ain't gonna sit here and be like, oh, and bring my resume. Back in my day, I ran the 40.45. Like I could do all of that and tell you like, oh, I made states in track and field. I
Hmm.
did XYZ. I was a lot better at individual sports, but my heart and my mind was set on football. And it was because I wasn't comfortable with myself. I had to be a part of something else, whether that thing was a sinking ship or if it was a man, I don't know. If it was a championship team, it would have been a lot different. I probably would have dove
Deeper.
deeper into the group mindset, and I really would have lost myself.
Wow.
Um, and the things that I enjoyed about football was me letting go and kind of getting to states of flow where nothing else kind of mattered. You're on an island all by yourself. And I relished being in these individual moments. And then it hit me again. I was just like, oh, I like being an individual. I like these. I like boxing a lot more. I like track and field a lot more because the work I put in, if I fall off, it's all because of me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else could derail my plans.
No
It's all
excuses in
on
that.
me.
All right.
So that's I went off on a tangent and I'm almost like losing my space, but
No, I mean I get it. It's like I think it's identifying that you're you're running from yourself and pouring yourself into a group, like you said, the group mindset
hmm
where it's like I'd rather go down on this sinking ship and it be the
and have
res-
company.
yeah, it'd be the result of all of us and be like, oh yeah, we're going down,
Yeah.
guys. But you took an initiative to realize you found yourself inside yourself, and that is rare in itself.
A lot of people don't come back from that neither.
Yeah, that's
Because other people will tell you you're crazy for those things. Um, and it's up to you that either you believe it or you don't. And one thing is true, you got to figure it out on your own.
nobody can do that work for you.
Yeah.
Um, this is other part of the podcast. There's this book that I use. It's called The Book of Human Emotions.
Hmm.
It's by Tiffany Watt Smith. I typically I look into an emotion and I actually guess if they've felt it before and if they know what it is. If they don't know what it is, I give them a definition.
Okay.
When was the last time you felt resentment?
Mm, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And that was due to being in a relationship for so long and not listening to each other, or not planning, more specifically, right? And when you're in it for so long and you're kind of just like flying by the seat of your pants, you feel like you could waste time. Um, in retrospect, it's not a waste of time, but I felt resentment. Like, damn, I did XYZ. I wasted however many years, or I wasted however many days thinking about whether it was an argument over nothing, but resentment towards wasted time. Until I sat down by myself, I realized it wasn't a waste of time. And what I got back from it via figuring out who I am and what I like and XYZ, or even becoming a better father, because it put me in a situation where now I got to be more honest with myself. Um, I got to move a lot different. I got to see what I lack. I got to see my strengths and know when to pull back on certain things. Um, so the resentment actually ended up helping me, and it was a while back, but I kept telling myself like I'm never gonna put myself, and I should never say never, but I'm gonna do my best not to put myself in these positions where that's the emotion that comes up, or that shines through, especially physically. Like I never want nobody to see that on my face, or how like I wear it on my sleeve or anything like that.
That was beautifully said, because it's something that I struggle with, and I go in and out of feeling now too. Like I I recently not recently, I would say time is flying, but maybe 5 months ago I came out of a 7 year relationship,
Hmm.
and sometimes I do feel resentment as well. And I love how you're very emotionally intelligent. I want to tell you that because
I appreciate that.
you recognize that resentment is from us. It's from our own actions. It's when our expectations aren't satisfied from the decisions that we make, and it really comes from the decisions that you made personally. You
Hmm.
had all this hope and not accepting life for just what it is and being who you truly are and being honest with yourself and not putting wild outlandish expectations on others.
A lot of it came from me assuming too. Me assuming that the other person was on the same page, or
Yes.
assuming we're talking about the same thing, or da 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 da.
Hmm.
Sometimes it would just be semantics. We'd be saying the same
Brother,
thing,
my brother in Christ, semantics,
and
semantics.
and just based off our delivery, um, one, we both wanted to be right,
Hmm.
and then it would be situations where we're literally saying the same thing but switching up the order, or who
Hmm.
gets to say it last.
Yeah.
So it'd be like I'm saying stop, no, don't. She's saying no, don't, stop. They mean I mean, we're using all the same words. They don't mean the same thing, right?
Hmm.
But we're fighting for who gets to say it and who gets to say it last.
Yeah, it's.
And we not listening to each other.
You think it's just what you say, and then you learn it's how you say it, and then you learn when you say it. It's all those things that play in, and if you're any one of those three things is off, it's
Yeah. I keep preaching that to my kids too. It's just like we speak so many different languages and we got to be able to be emotionally intelligent and understand who's in front of you, when to use said tool or said
hmm
word. And it's not so much that like you're puppeteering, but you're being more diplomatic,
yeah.
you know. You're not saying things because you want a certain reaction, or you're not saying something because you know they're going to move in this way. You're just being more mindful of what they're saying in that moment and how you can convey what you need to say without having emotions be flared,
Hmm.
time being wasted, or just miscommunication all across the board, you know.
Yeah, it's a hell of a thing. Um, when was the last time you cried?
Recently, I had a funeral. My grandfather passed. So shedding tears, I think, is different from crying. And men cry completely different than women and children. So
I want to say thank you for sharing as well.
if I could think, I could probably count on my hands how many times I've cried since I was probably like 10. And I think that's one of the things men tend to like. They try to hold that thing down until you can't hold it anymore, and then you have the ugly cry, right?
Hmm.
You remember my man that was on intervention, and it was this boxer, and he had like a checkered past, and everybody made these memes of this grown man crying when his son was just like, um, he said something like, I still love you at the end of the day, and then he just like belted out this this cry, and people made fun of it, and it was just like, wow, I never heard a grown man cry like that. And it was almost like a wounded animal type of thing. And I remember probably the second to last time uh, I cried, it was something like that. It was just like you're holding down all of these emotions to a point where the floodgates are just kind of like opened up,
Hmm.
and it comes out how it comes out. And sometimes these sounds are, it's like an animal is dying, like it's crazy. But for me, I think, and I was saying all of that to say, to run it back, but in my head, it might have been like 6 months ago.
That was
Um,
that cry.
no,
You said no, no.
no, this one I thought I was losing my mind,
Mm.
because it came out as laughter. Uh, I was in a situation where I saw how my time was being wasted. I saw I was not valued, and I felt like I was in a situation where I literally saw how capitalism and racism and all of these things are kind of like intertwined. And I was in a position where I felt like a slave. And when the light bulb went off, I just started laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, I'm sitting in traffic, laughing hysterically, and tears are just running down my face. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Excuse me. But I might have laughed as hard as I could, and again, tears are just like rolling down my face, and I can't stop laughing. Maybe a good 2 minutes. I was like, I think I'm going crazy. Like, but
That.
But just being in a position where I felt like I had to hold these things down for so long that I didn't know how to identify the emotion, it just came out as laughter.
What was the other side of that? That after that cry, because you felt like you're losing your mind. What kind?
He took your darts.
We got Cal's kids in the studio. It's
You want to
uh,
say what's up, Duck?
it's a beautiful thing. Make sure you guys share though, all right? All right. Um, where we at?
I'm sorry.
No, it's about the crying. So, what was that? What was the solace like on the other side of that?
Um, I think immediately after, I definitely felt a little bit lighter.
Hmm.
Um, I quickly got into solution mode. I don't know if that was the best thing to do right then in the moment, because I think it might have just added a little bit more pressure as to starting a clock to fixing that problem now, versus me kind of sitting back a little bit longer and figuring out how to get out of that situation, and letting it just, happen, as opposed to now I got to sit down and think how to get out of this situation, right? I think that put a little bit more pressure on me, but it actually felt good. Uh, Maybe a couple minutes after, I ain't gonna lie,
I can
but
imagine.
I definitely felt like the next person that looks at me funny,
Woo.
I might be on 12 o'clock news. But
Now,
I'm here sitting down talking to you, so we,
yeah, spreading
I
positivity.
got past that one.
Now, I know the good moments can be a very good opportunity to be inspired. Do you get inspiration from that moment to paint?
No, um, I think that might have put me on the shelf for a day or two, just because, again, it would have put pressure on me to sell work that had something to do with that, or create a message that had something to do with that, and that doesn't always, um, that's not the message that needed to come out at that moment. I was very bitter, I was very jaded in that moment, and if I put that in a painting, I'm not sure what that would look like, one, but it definitely wouldn't have been a positive message for others to see. It definitely would have been something on the darker side. Not that that's right or wrong, but for my overall message, I don't think that would have been the best uh, time to paint, just because I would have been so blocked. Yeah.
So not so I understand that. So have you made the time to go back and process all of that? Not put it in the paint, but process the emotions and the
Uh,
mindset and the
in
feelings
different
that.
ways, in and having different outlets, and understanding too that everybody, they don't see that, and they don't have the same lens as you, and they damn sure ain't in your shoes, so they don't know your perspective.
Hmm.
Trying not to take things personal, and really taking not so much a back seat, but listening more a little bit before I go off. Uh, I mean, I've done that in the past, but now it's just doing it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? With an extended timer, I should say.
So you talked about keeping things in you until you explode, and you got people that you identified that can stay at your house even if you're not there, and those are
Yeah,
people that they don't have your same lens, but you can let them borrow yours for them to help them understand you.
absolutely,
And that's
absolutely.
it's so important not to remain clouded.
And I get a lot of help from those people. Um, they're the ones that reach out and actually listen. They're the ones that ask the questions or tell me. You know what I'm saying? Yo, you getting a little skinny, or I'm like, nah, this is by design.
This what
Or they'll tell me, man, you go back in the crib, brush your teeth, bro. Like I could, I trust those people, you
Okay.
know,
All right.
and they know that I give them that same love too.
As long as they know they're there and they know who they are, you know.
Absolutely do.
Um, what, who or what in your life makes you smile?
Oh, my kids easily. Watching them tinker with things, watching them get better at whatever it is they love to do.
Mm-hmm.
The questions they ask, when they learn a new word, man, I'll be like, I can't tell you, I can't hide my smile sometimes. But just watching them interact with their environment, um, they absolutely put a smile on my face, whether I know it or not. Another, because I feel like that's too easy, and that's me getting away. Real
What, your kids?
me saying, yeah, my kids.
Ain't
They
nothing
make me
wrong with
smile.
that.
Yeah, but I feel like,
I mean, your kids
well,
are here right now. Like, let's be real,
everybody don't like their kids. I'm not.
right? Like, and I work in the school system, and I'll tell you right
Yeah.
now, man, like that.
I just felt like that was an easy answer, and when we sit down with people, we want to give them something dynamic. But
Yeah, and I think it all depends on, like you said, who you're talking to. Because I love to hear an answer like that. Because I might be jaded working with the population that I do work with,
Yeah.
where parenting isn't. I don't always see the best examples of parenting. So when I do deal with people that are whom I consider outside looking in, because I don't know what your home life is, seem like really um great parents. They seem in tune. They seem available emotionally, and realize that this is a learning process for their youth. You know what I mean? For their kids. So it makes me happy, like internally.
that's dope, man.
So like own that.
That's dope.
Own that, especially as a black man.
Absolutely, man. To be completely honest with you, me and my ex, we struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we're both working on a puzzle from home, and we're passing this puzzle back
Mm-hmm.
and forth. Sometimes she'll put a piece upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll put it upside down.
Forget to pack a piece.
Word. And we're just like passing this thing back and forth. But when we get it right, oh man, we get that thing right. And the ways that I could see that happening, it was one point where I didn't have a car for a little while, and we were taking Ubers back and forth. And I'm taking my sons with me everywhere, like I'm doing now. And every Uber driver would say the same thing at the end of each ride. Man, your kids are so well behaved. They're this, they're that. They got manners. Da 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 da. And I'm thinking it was one of those scripted, conversations, as always. And just before I got my car back up and running, and this is like the last Uber I'm in, the guy goes, "Wow, this is the first time I seen that. You're a preferred customer," and he's like, da 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 da, telling me like, I guess people kept leaving these comments about my kids, and it wasn't that I was like this amazing Uber rider and I gave these people tips and 5 stars. It was my kids, and it was what we practiced at home, and it was what they mom continued to practice. You know what I'm saying? So it was us putting it all together, whether we knew it or not. But when they were out in situations where I got to take them to the hospital or whatever, they come into work with me. Everybody's consistently complimenting them on their behavior, on their manners, just everything. And I was just like, man, we're doing something right.
Definitely, because these little nuggets be wilding out here, and I'll tell you that.
I think people just be afraid they're afraid of what everybody else is going to say to them when they tell their kid no, or just the embarrassment, of having tantrums, XYZ, and not knowing how to handle it, that a lot of people don't do anything at all and they just let their kid wild out
Yeah.
for the sake of not being judged, whether they spank or yell or whatever. Um, I have no reservations when it comes to giving my kid the look or or raising my voice, letting them know how I feel when I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think them understanding um, that I'm not just yelling at them for the sake of yelling,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do those things. I don't want to be this person. I mean, all our parents say it, and they be hitting us with that line. I'm doing this because I love you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually leading with love when I hit them with that patience, or I'm just like, you know what, you're gonna get this look right now, but when we get in the car, that look is gonna turn into a 20-minute talk, and I know you don't want that.
Yeah.
So
And
it
it's,
be stuff
it's
like that.
and I I don't have kids. I look forward to that though, but I think it's you touched on it right there. Like that energy you give them, even when you don't have the energy to give, and we see it in them.
Man, that's me picking that up from my aunt, from my uncles, my mom and dad. Um, I remember my aunt, because I used to live with them for a little bit, and Saturdays was like super militant. We getting up at 7, 8, everybody cleaning up the house, pulling out every piece of china from I don't even know what to call this thing in English anymore, but we'll pull out all the china, dust it, spray it, put it back, moving furniture, because my aunt was like that. Like, she gotta fix the feng shui every couple months,
Mm.
and we'd be where everybody else is playing video games or they outside, I'm saying, doing XYZ. Our entire Saturday was just burnt.
Getting right.
And then before you know it, she's like, all right, I gotta go to Lord and Taylor's. And then she dressing us up like little, I don't know what. Everybody looked like a version of Carlton. And then we're going to Lord and Taylor's or Macy's or Sears, Caldors, wherever she tried to go. I'm saying, do her little errands or whatever. And everybody would say the same thing. They'd be like, "Oh, how'd you get this basketball team to just comply and to do this and to blah 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 blah? They're so well mannered." And I'm like, "Oh man, I got my kids on that same. This is where I got it from.
Mm.
It's like my aunt, my mom, my grandmother, things like that. Um, my grandparents, more specifically, not just my grandmother. Just having that respect for uh, what my elders have done, and then in turn just doing it for my kids. Part of it is muscle memory, then the other part I'm like, yeah, how did she do that thing again? Like, how did she get me to eat all my vegetables? Uh, and then implementing certain things. There was a lot of things that didn't work, more things that did work.
Okay.
So just using discernment and pulling out those tools, and the fact that I get to see them work, it's really cool.
That trial and error. Um, what does self care mean to you, and how do you practice it?
Ha! A lot of people be lying about their self care
Boy, I tell you.
regimens and
Mm-hmm.
XYZ. So I'll be talking about this a lot with my friends, where they claim they doing self care, self help, and they're just using buzzwords,
Yeah.
or they're doing what everybody else does. Oh, I'm getting my hair done. I'm doing my nails and da 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 da. And what ends up happening is you turn that into a task. Now you just put yourself in in a hole because the hair costs $500. You sat in the chair for 4 hours. You lost the day essentially. You mad because you in traffic. You come back home and you yelling at everybody else, and that was your whole self care day, and it's back to bed because you got to get to work early in the morning.
God.
And it's like you wasted your whole Sunday talking about self-care. But you took a whole bunch of dope pictures, though.
Yo, listen, you might got some trauma in there. What's up? What's up?
No.
No.
Man, listen, you see all this hair? I definitely been in that position where I was like, I'm doing this.
You want to treat yourself and say, oh, damn, I wasted my whole day.
Damn, man. I spent 2 hours under the dryer and my head is burning. This doesn't feel like self-care. So I definitely been in those shoes. My self-care is coming off from work and that little 30 minutes I'll be having where, let's say before I pick up my kid from school, there's this little park I go to in the cut, and I'll just pull up in the parking lot, listen to my music, make a phone call or two. But I have like 30, 45 minutes of just peace.
That's for you.
Sometimes I do my extracurriculars in that time. I got my kids here, so I can't be.
I feel you.
But that little moment to myself that's my self-care.
All right,
where I
nice.
get to think. I'll leave like a little notebook in my car.
Mm-hmm.
And this notebook ain't for nothing specific. I'll sketch in it. I'll write to-do lists. Something like a song or blah blah blah. I gotta remember that. Or I just heard a lyric and that gave me inspiration to do this painting or to make this T-shirt or this hat, whatever. I just kind of leave it there, and at this time, I'm probably flipping through that book or seeing what I thought a couple years back. Super random stuff, but it's never anything that is attached to me spending money.
Okay.
Like I really don't think me going on like a little shopping spree or spending money on my hair, whatever is self-care at all.
All right, I can dig that. I did get a little offended when you said somebody going to get their nails done because I went and got my nails done yesterday.
Different strokes for different folks. But
as long as you recognize that, because I got my clear coat going.
I mean,
I'm
the people at home can't see, but your hands are well taken care of. So
I appreciate
he's not just making this stuff up.
And try to keep it 100, you know. But I like your answer. Because like you said, it's all about how you find your peace.
Absolutely is, man. And I'm in a space where, again, I told you I don't like wasting time, and I spent a lot of time in high school, trying to figure out where my place in each crowd was, or where my space was, or how do I hold this circle up. And I had a couple different circles, and it's not that like I was actively searching to be a consistent, you know what I'm saying, pillar in this group or da 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 da. But I would kind of poke my head over here, and see what's happening. And what I realized was, all right, in high school, I spent a lot of time not being authentic to myself by way of falling in with the group when it came to making certain decisions, or letting them sway my thoughts on art and music and things of that nature. 'Cause, man, I like a lot of different music, and there's certain things that I left off the table because I was just like, nah, my friends wouldn't jack that, so I ain't gonna listen to that neither. A lot of movies that I left on the table because I was just like, man, I'm trying to be in these streets. Like, so I'll have conversations now where somebody will talk about like a movie from our childhood, and I'll be like, man, I don't know, man. I was trying to be in the streets at that time.
You got to double back and go heal that inner child.
I definitely do that now, and I got my kids to help me with that. Certain things I'm glad I didn't touch the Backstreet Boys and
Okay,
Sync. I'm
okay,
glad,
okay,
I'm
okay.
but again, different strokes for different folks. Um, there was other things I was into, um, other movies, other things that definitely caught my attention. Uh, I ain't gonna lie, I love me some gangster shit when I was a kid, man. I can't.
You got a favorite movie from back then?
Oh, what wasn't my favorite movie? Gangster movie. I had all the from the Scarface to the Paid in Full, the Bellies, all of those things. They were, you know, in my top five.
Of course, and
Um,
you definitely look like somebody that definitely seen Shotters.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you I got you. I
We
got
here,
you.
we here. I was the kid that would go back. I actually watched that mad times and be like, "Yo, you see DJ Khaled? That's him right there." Like, yo, such and such is in this movie. I'm that weird kid that would pull out all the like
Hmm.
random stuff from all of these movies as well.
This next section of the podcast is one of my favorites. We touched on so much though already that we're probably gonna double back, and I'm
Man,
okay
time
with
is
that.
flying, bro.
It
I'm
is.
cool with that too.
So we call this "Feel This Way." I will say a word, phrase, or statement, and I want you to tell me what emotions, thoughts, or memories it sparks. You ready?
Don't mind any pause.
Take your
I'm
time.
gonna do my best to let it fly.
Take your time. We got no time is flying, but we got a little more. The first word is fatherhood.
Responsibility, big responsibility. Um, and it comes with knowing when to pull back, especially in a situation where uh, me and their mother are no longer together. Figuring out when they need um, a more feminine touch, and feminine touch doesn't necessarily mean, you know, a female's touch or
Hmm.
putting yourself in that mindset, but being more aware of the emotion, being more uh, falling back on my intuition more in those sense, or in that sense, I should say. Uh, a lot of the time, I'm stopping my boys and being like, "Did that make sense? Was that logical?" Da 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 da. Da. And for a 9-year old and a 3-year old, that's a lot.
It's like,
And they just like they ready to blow up. They
hmm
head is about to just like overheat because they understand the world from a different perspective. They don't know as much as I know. So when I'm sitting there talking logistics, I might as well be speaking Mandarin to them. So now I got to fall back and be like, all right, uh, I got to use more emotion in this instance as my crutch, or I got to fall back on my intuition. Like maybe I'm doing too much in this way, or
yeah.
X
So
Y Z.
so do you find yourself in those moments instead of like assuming that your boys have the knowledge that you have, inquiring what brought them to that decision,
Um,
or just like is it just reprimanding? I don't know. I don't.
I think it's a little bit of both. A lot of me questioning them would end up being me questioning myself at that age. So I could
Okay.
see my 8-year-old self and my son, and then when he does something silly, I'll be like, "Now, did that make sense?" And I'm like, "Man, bro, if you was 8, you probably would have had done the same thing except had a crayon up your nose at the same time." Like, so chill out and use another tool to kind of get to him. Um, and when it's time to use, common sense and show him how to apply that common sense via you using your own, it'll make more sense to them and they'll be better off. So when you say fatherhood, instantly I'm thinking, oh, I got to be responsible in keeping both hands on the wheel and understanding that, like, if I sit back in the car and you know what I'm saying, get on my masculine and punch that seat back,
Hmm.
they not going to be in for the most comfortable ride.
Nah, I get you.
Duh.
Okay. Um. All right. All right. The next word I have is boxing.
Life. Um, you learn so many life lessons. You learn so much about yourself, what you can handle, what you can't handle, and you have to be honest with yourself. You also uh, no risk, no reward, and I struggle with that in my past, where I would be too humble in a sense, or I would dumb it down to the competition or whatever the case is. And when you're in a sport like boxing or MMA, there's no room to be humble when it's you and one other person and you got to settle a dispute, right? I'm better than you. I'm putting what I learned on the block, and at the end of 4 rounds or 12 rounds, we're gonna see. You know what I'm saying, all that work I put in. We're gonna see what you put in. We're gonna see. You know what I'm saying, if all of this is real or you was just faking it. And when that time comes, did you crumble or did you rise to the occasion? And a lot of the times I surprise myself in situations where, I don't know, let's say I was running 3 miles and I know what that does to me physically the next couple of days. But I know I got a goal in mind, and I bust out 2 more miles. And despite all the tiptoeing around and trying not to piss the devil off the next couple of days because my calves hurt, I'm sitting there like, you know what? This is gonna pay off when I'm in another situation and I'm forced to be, you know what I'm saying, in this uncomfortable state. Did I push past my limits? Did I continue to do it without complaining? All of those things. And me doing a lot of these portraits that coincide with boxing are helping me figure out those things about myself and pinpoint them in other people and see them in some of my clients, or even the friends I've made through the sport, you know.
Okay. And I noticed you said that you had your kids out training this morning with you. Was that in boxing?
Not specifically, but I'll try to get my boys into everything, and the fact that they're just active right now, like my oldest has expressed interest in basketball, so like one of the things his basketball coach had him working on was jump rope, so I had him jump a rope for 20 minutes just trying to get better at it. And for a lot of other kids, they if they parent would put a timer for 20 minutes and told them to do one thing, they're, oh man. But having that conversation with him and seeing, okay, your interest is basketball, right? I like boxing, man. That's my thing. I'm not gonna push a boxing workout on you, but if your basketball coach was like, I want him to get better at this because it's gonna help him XYZ. Oh yeah, we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna show you how to um, track your progress or make it a game, make it something fun, so that now it's not. Man, you put the clock for 20 minutes. I could be on my iPad for da 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 da. Whatever thing that he wanted to do at that time. Now he's, you know what I'm saying, focusing his energy, you know, towards one of the things that he loves to do, which is play basketball. He's getting better at his hand-eye coordination, XYZ, and he's moving his body. And the fact that he sees me up and working out, he's going to turn around and carry that on for
Yep.
himself. And sometimes I could bring him to work and he'll jump up on a treadmill by himself, and they think that like this is how you're supposed to be, which it should be. Um, but that's one of the things I like as far as being consistent with the gym is seeing how my kids turn around and use that same tool because it's a tool at the end of the day. It's also active meditation, you know.
You leading those boys by example. One thing I do say about boxing though is that when people get into it, I feel like it absorbs them.
Um, it's like that for a lot of combat sports. I know a lot of people that are into jujitsu, and
Mm.
once they get bit by the bug, that's all they talk about, and and it almost becomes their life. Um, I like to use this hashtag, and eventually I'll probably end up getting it tattooed on me too. But I actually got this one right here. It says "No art, no life."
You show the camera?
Oh yeah, it's right here.
Thank you.
But I'm probably gonna end up doing the same. No boxing, no life, because I just seen how it got me. One, it's something that I've been doing since I was in the third grade. Just in and out of gyms, and just like with the drawing, once you get to a certain point where people are like, "Oh, you pretty good at this. We got tournaments coming up," and
Mm-hmm.
da 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 da. I'm like, yeah, but I play football now.
I feel you. I
And
feel you.
then
Um.
like part of me putting the boxing down too was it wasn't very big when I was coming up out here, especially. And it was like you really had to travel and you had to go out of your way to find um, tournaments and just other kids that were into the sport just as well. Um, so at that time, it was easy to transition to something else, and football was just as physical. And it was just like, all right, I'm done with that. Let me move to this. Once I ended up getting back to it, it was just like, man, I realized what I was missing in terms of my mindset and what that brought out of me again. And it's even funny how I ended up asking my father to take me to the gym when I was a kid. I was on a bus. It was my first year in public school, and I was pretty quiet on the bus, trying to figure out, I'm saying, my place and how this whole thing go, because I came from private school, and this was a whole new world. The bus was a zoo, and there was it might have been like a couple months into it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see how this goes. We sit here, we joke on each other, we do this, that, and the third, slapping people in the back of the neck, blah blah blah, and I remember because I was pretty new. They set me up too. They tried to make me a bus safety. I'm not that kid, right? But because I was quiet and I was kind of reserved, trying to figure out, and I'm saying my space, the teachers was like, "Yeah, make this kid a safety. He's
he's
responsible."
he's the one.
Man, listen. So one day I'm the bus safety. I gotta keep these kids in line. I'm a kid myself, and I remember we was going back and forth, just roasting each other, just killing each other with jokes. And I got the best of this kid, um, and he had older brothers, uh, and I just remember being like, "Damn, I gotta fight. I gotta learn how to fight." I got off that bus. I remember I called my dad once I got to my great grandmother's house. I was just like, "You gotta take me to the gym. I gotta learn how to fight," because I was talking cash shit. And if these kids want to fight, I'm saying I got to defend myself. Man, the next day we was in the gym, and it was a wrap from then.
100%.
Yeah.
Lovely. You gave me a contact and we discussed some stuff. And he had mentioned a photo that drawing that you had sketched. I assume that he really admired of you. And I think it was of Muhammad Ali with like arrows going
Oh,
through him.
oh, there was this cover. I believe it was like a Times cover of Ali, and he had the arrows. Very iconic um, image, and I think I recreated it in my own way so many different times. Whether it was a painting, this specific one was like a t-shirt that or a sweatshirt that I made, and I made a series of sweatshirts, and the overall theme was like Public's enemy,
Mm.
and some of the themes were like Malcolm X, uh, Ali. We had Martin Luther King Jr. Excuse me, and the overall message was at one point in time this was Public's enemy number one, right? And I've got them under the crosshairs. I've got them with the arrows going through them
Mm.
xed out, and uh, all of these images were trying to invoke, some type of emotion, because we look at these people as heroes now, but in that time, again, they were looked at and demonized and put on FBI
Yeah.
most wanted list, damn
What
near.
pretty
So
much went out as martyrs.
yeah. So
Okay.
at the time, they were looked at very differently, and I made these sweatshirts, kind of like touching on the topic and making them martyrs, um, and seeing the emotion that I would get via like everyone else is watching somebody wearing that sweatshirt. I was like, oh, that's a little cringy, bro. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if I want to walk around with Martin Luther King and he's got a crosshairs on his head and da 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 da. But it started some really dope conversations, and I think those images were just ahead of its time as far as what people were willing to throw on a T-shirt at the moment.
Hmm.
But fast forward, I might have did this like 9, 10 years ago, even further back. Um, Now I'm starting to see T-shirts with similar messages, and it's not even funny how close to my designs I would see certain things, and it's just like you wonder if you had save these things, or right moment, right time you pull this design out. Ain't no telling how many people get to see that image now, or how many people get to talk about this thing. So just timing with it all too, and having the right conversations visually with the artwork and things that I create. You know,
It's beautiful how you were able to put two of your passions together in those moments.
I think what I like to do is filter one thing through the next, whether it be a life experience being filtered through the music I'm listening to at that time, and then I'll filter that music through the clothes that I'm wearing. And again, I said earlier that I like to kind of curate things and organize them in a way that I'll understand it better, and that it could easily be um, translated to the next person. So a lot of these uh, time capsules I'm creating are steeped in like the emotion of that time, that year, shit, the colors that I was wearing at the time. Like I go all the way into it.
That's the intent in that is beautiful.
And you'll see it all the way through in the artwork from series to series. I had done one series of paintings that ended up in this Greenwich gallery called VW Contemporary. This is in 2018. The series was called The Things He Left Behind, and I was dealing with the loss of my father at the time, and I painted maybe 12 to 16 different pieces, all dealing with fatherhood and what it meant and really showing um, fathers and their kids in these vulnerable positions or these heartwarming spaces, because sometimes we'll say words like uh, fatherhood, right? And what does that mean to you? And everybody's thinking like, or the first thought would be disciplinary, da 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 da. Like, and we're thinking of all these things like head of household, blah 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 blah, right? So I wanted to show maybe the softer side of dad. You taking a nap on your dad's chest, or him helping you with your homework, things like that. Those were a lot of the images that I painted in that series, and the colors reflected uh, they reflected a softer touch. They weren't so vivid and bright, or they were almost like pastel colors that really matched the tone and the conversation that I was trying to have all together. Um, and then when I painted the next series, which was called Black is Gold, um, it became very bright, very vibrant. It was still my visual language. I was still painting in the same style and still using these drips and leaving open spaces on the canvas and drawing in pastel and mixing my medium. So all of these things were the same. It's the colors started to bring out different emotions. So now I start to use the colors. I use the subject matter as talking points now, and as uh, a way for the viewer to better understand the artwork. So I really love photography too. And not that I think I'm some type of expert when it comes to photography. I just know what I like. And what I liked in black and white images were they made me think a little bit more, and they made me stop at the image and really pay attention to what's happening in that scene. And when I would look at that same image in color, it would do half the work for me, and I'd just be like, all right, I'm over this image. It's not as cool as I thought, or it's not as deep as I made it out to be. So with me understanding that, and uh, in photography, I wanted to fix those things when it came to my paintings. So when you look at my painting, uh, and it's got these bright colors and this, that, and the third, now you're saying to yourself, why did he use that color? Because now I'm starting to use purples for black skin tones and blues and this, and you're starting to see things that you wouldn't see in nature
Mm.
on these accurate portraits, right? And you're like, well, why did you use that? Now I got you thinking a little bit deeper, as the same way I would be thinking when I'm looking at these black and whites. And now, again, we're asking the right questions, or asking questions, period.
Yeah. And questions, I mean, the questions period are the right questions, right?
Absolutely, man.
That's man, I gotta come to one of your shows, yo, for real. This sounds so amazing. I had a couple friends that actually made it out to that show in Greenwich. I think the father son did showcase, and they sent me a couple pictures from it. I was like, oh, this looks really good. I do like your art style for
That's
real.
dope. That's dope. Thank you,
So,
man.
I it's I love that we're in this moment now, and knowing it was a past experience for me. I was like, damn, I should have been there. So
You know what? I hear a lot of people tell me that, and it's just make it to the next one.
that's it. That's it. Now we
Just
have this
pull up.
connection.
Just pull up.
I promise I'm gonna be there because you know what? I like to support people. So I know your contact has a show next Friday in New Haven, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up. I think
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so. It's all about supporting each other, right?
Absolutely is. And it's not enough to like something. It's not enough to put a fire emoji now. Um, really reach out. I'm saying, tell me what you like about the work. Tell me, oh, yo, that looks like my aunt. I don't want to hear people come up to me and be like, man, I can't afford you right now, but now's the time that you could actually have my ear and you could talk to me. It's not about buying the artwork per se. That doesn't always correlate to support. Have a conversation with me. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, you don't know how you can inspire me. You don't know. Just getting past small talk when it comes to the art, because this is my passion. I don't want to turn it into small talk. And again, it goes beyond just liking and sharing. Like
What is your
we gotta be
favorite?
a little deeper. That's it.
What's your favorite question? Somebody to ask you when it comes to your art.
Mm, who's my inspiration?
All right.
Um, and it always throws people off, or it gets them to pick up their phone and do a Google search.
I'm gonna Google search who that guy was that you said.
Oh, there's so many more too, and it's even funny how I became a fan of his work. Um,
You say
and
John Kerry Washington, something like that.
It's Kerry James Marshall.
Kerry James Marshall. I'm sorry.
Um, and I take a lot from other artists as far as I like how this person makes black people look cool, or and that's Barkley Hendricks, another one of my favorite artists. And when I throw that out, people again they'll jump on Google, be like, "Oh, this is dope." Da 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 da. I can see the connection. But when we have these conversations on the surface, they'll be like, "I bet Basquiat's your favorite artist. He's one of them." I really love his approach to the art game. I love the conversations he would have with the pieces. I love how he was unapologetic, but as far as the eyeball test and artwork and who I modeled uh, my game after, and it was even unbeknownst to me. It was just like I was doing a certain style, and somebody was like, "Oh, that looks like Jacob Lawrence," right? There was another artist right there. And then I Googled. I was like, I don't know who the hell this Jacob Lawrence guy is, but I'm gonna check it out anyway. So when I did, and I saw he had did a painting of Toussaint Louverture,
Mm.
and I had did a painting of him as well, and it was wild how these things looked just alike.
Oh
I
wow.
think mine was facing in the opposite direction, but it was like you had the same exact idea. You had no idea this artist even existed. You were just picked up some paint for the first time, and you're like, you know what? I want to talk about this, and this is what you came up with. There just so happened to be this real artist back in the '70s, and '60s, and he created this amazing artwork, and it's right along the same lines of the stuff that you're coming up with, and you had no idea. And it was like that for a couple of other paintings. And again, I mentioned Kerry James Marshall, and somebody had said, "Oh, this reminds me of XYZ."
That's the energy passing through you. It's never destroyed.
Oh man, I like to believe that, but Carrie's still here with us. Thankfully,
Thankfully, right?
yeah.
Um, the last word I have for you is marriage.
What about it? No, I'm playing.
Have
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
you ever been?
Yeah, we spent 7 years, going on 8 years together. Uh, it was fun. It was hard. It was annoying. It was very challenging at times. It brought the worst out of me in some situations.
Hmm.
And when it was all said and done, and you knock down the Legos, you got to rebuild your own thing on the side. You realize um, what you need to leave behind and what you need to take forward and how to continue to move in a certain light, and not be jaded and not be in that space where you're like, oh, I'm a He-Man woman hater and
Email Women Haters Club.
you know
Oh man, you got that. That got me right there.
what I'm saying? I'm trying not to be that person. Like I love. And I don't want to be that guy that just be like, you know what? It didn't work out for me in that one situation, so I don't want to even look at the word on a piece of paper.
If you don't mind me asking, how long have you been separated?
Man, it feels like forever now, but at the moment it was just like you don't know how your day went prior to being with that person, right? I don't even remember what a regular morning routine was for a minute, but it's been like going on 3 years now. I think August is gonna make it 3 years separated or divorced. Excuse me.
Do you see yourself being married again in the future?
Absolutely. Definitely on. Not so much like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, on my terms. I don't think we fully understood what it meant as far as a long term commitment. And had I paid attention to some of the things that were being said, even when we were going out, um, I probably wouldn't have gotten married so soon. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I wouldn't have got married to her at all. I probably wouldn't have got married that soon. Um, I don't know.
Are you dating?
No, not at the moment. And a big part of that is just I'm still figuring out what I like to do, and a lot of women out there, they really don't listen to you as far as
You sound so crazy saying that.
they
But
don't
keep elaborate.
they don't listen to, like, all right, if I'm telling you I like to do shit low key and I like to be this way, and then you're constantly trying to push me into
Okay.
a situation where I'm doing things that I don't like, you're not listening to me. Or if I'm telling you like, all right, I feel pressure in in this situation and XYZ, and you continue to do certain things that put my back against the wall, then I'm like, oh, you're really not paying attention to what I'm saying to you, and I'm clearly and openly communicating with you, and it's just you're choosing not to listen.
You need to find somebody that has to be able to have that mutual understanding with you.
And again, I've come across a small group of people recently that actually listen to me and they actually see me. So now that I know that those people are out there, I don't want to I don't want to spend my time with anybody else.
But you got to spend a little bit of energy to find those people, though.
Yeah, absolutely do. And that's what I'm realizing very quickly.
Because it's I find that in my separation has been 3 years. It's been about, like I said, 5 6 months, something like that, and I'm um realizing what you meant, like putting your energy into things and realizing some people. I'm not gonna say listen to me,
Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
but they're not understanding who I am as a person and things I need and want as I tell them. And once you crash and burn in that, it's tiring.
You
It's
know what?
tiring.
It's not about listening to me. It's about hearing me. They don't actually hear me.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. I
And
believe.
and it's not like, oh, I gotta have things my way. I'm big on compromise. Like
Yeah,
I'm all the way for, I'm saying, figuring it out for everybody. We could make it work for everybody. But if you're not going to take the time to understand, then it's all for nothing.
sadly, but time is never wasted. All we can do is take it as lesson learned.
But that's exactly why I said earlier, with the whole resentment thing. Uh, I felt like I was wasting time in that moment, but in retrospect, I learned so much more. And I value that time now, but I won't make those same quote unquote mistakes.
We just call them
I mean,
we just call them decisions. That's it.
where I won't make those same decisions. Um, and that's again not to be like, oh, I wouldn't get married. I probably just wouldn't have done that so soon
Okay.
or as young as I was.
Well, good luck for you on your journey, and I hope you find somebody that
Nah, man,
hears you.
forget that. I don't want nobody. Nah,
We just gonna scrap that and cut the last 10 minutes. I got you. But
nah. Honestly, I just really want to focus on my kids, especially now that
mhm.
like I got this small group of people that actually hear me. I want to hear them. And if I sit there and start thinking about who I'm dating, then I got to take time away from them. I got to take time away from these people that I literally just started giving myself to them. You know what I'm saying? I got stuff I want to work on with my mother. I got conversations I got to have with my sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to learn to love them better. And if I'm in a situation where now I'm looking for love, I'm taking that away from them now, right? And I'm taking that away from my kids. My youngest is 3. You know what I'm saying that's a all of this time is for him to understand. All right, my dad hears me, he sees me, he's giving me love, he's giving me attention. The second I start dating somebody, I'm all booed up, I'm on the phone, I'm sitting there figuring out. You know what I'm saying who's gonna watch them so I could take go on dates and X. Nah, I'm good.
I respect that. I really respect that. And
Uh, that shit is lonely. I'm not going. I'm
yeah,
not going to hold you. But in the same breath, the fact that I could sit there and fall back on a lot of the friends that I do have, and it's easy. It becomes a little bit easier.
don't risk forever for right now.
Big fact. Big fact.
Um, Last question I have for you is: does art imitate life, or does life imitate art?
Did the chicken come before the egg? Is what you just asked me. Um, art imitates life, absolutely, and that's how we communicate um, and transcend time. So if I'm in a certain time period, I'm gonna paint what I know, what I see, what I feel, and I'm going to document that time. So my artwork is gonna reflect the life and time of Cali artists.
Okay.
Are things gonna be spot on and completely accurate as far as the way that we live, or are they going to be my interpretation of what racism is or my interpretation of what self-care is, you know? So now it's me imitating what that life experience is and then creating a visual language for you to follow that now or some hieroglyphs. Now you can see my emojis
And then we got
in these
I'm picking that up. I like that.
in these portraits. You feel
Okay.
me? You see what that smiley face is. You see what the XYZ. You know, all of that.
I like the bringing in the hieroglyphs. That put it all
Because
together.
now I'm getting to a point where I'm hearing this more frequent. Someone will see my work and be like, "Oh, I knew that was you immediately. I know your style," and I'm like, "Yes." That means when I'm gone, somebody could sit there and be like, "Oh, that's a Busico. That's a." And at that point, you ain't gonna be calling me Cali artist no more. It's gonna be last name only,
Mm.
and I'll transcend and be. I'm saying in that part of uh, my artist journey.
All right.
So I'm waiting for those moments like that. You know.
You're taking all the right steps, my brother.
The fact is, I'm taking baby steps and I'm respecting the baby steps. It's like prior to this, I would want to see the end result or how everything is supposed to materialize before it even actually happens. So now I'm falling back and I'm kind of paying attention a little bit more.
So how I usually end this podcast is with a poem. But before I do that, Can you tell the audience, the listeners, where they can find you?
They could definitely get it in touch with me on Instagram. It's Cal underscore the underscore artist. Really good with answering messages and getting back to people, whether it's them showing their support. I got plenty of people that literally just, yo, I love what you're doing. I love the messages of family and this or boxing or whatever it is I'm painting at the moment. We could have conversations about it. We could go back and forth for hours. I'm finding new friends,
Mm-hmm.
actual people that I could call friends, um, off of this. Like, because again, we're having intentional conversations. People are coming back. They're building. It's not small talk anymore. I don't have the biggest following. I got the right following right now, and like, I didn't see that until um, maybe a year ago, where it was just like, what's going on with social media, and you see people pouring money into buying followers or buying space on da 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 da. And a lot of my friends are coming back like, man, I'm getting junk followers or fake spam accounts, da 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 da. I'm looking back and I'm like, nah, I got a really cool, solid group of people that actually, care about the artwork, and they give me feedback or they message me and they're inspiring me, and I'm in turn inspiring them. So it's just like I'll never run out of material or something to talk about as long as I got these people in front of me. Because again, I'm holding up the mirror for them, and they're just like, "Yo, damn, I look good." You feel me? And then I'm like, "Oh, yo, I'm gonna hold it up for you too." And we just continue these conversations and let people know, like, yo, you're dope too. You're amazing. Blah 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 blah. All of it.
All right. Do you have any upcoming events?
I'm definitely in this headspace where I'm going to create the next one. A lot of the time, I was waiting for these opportunities to kind of happen and just building the war chest until that moment. Now I'm gonna create those moments. I've had a number of group exhibitions and solo exhibitions, and even prior to having some of the solo shows, I thought that was the end all be all. Like, I'll get that solo show and then that's it. Then I'm saying the star is born, right? And then a week later, a month later, it's like, all right, what's next? People are asking, when's the next one? When's they be like, I just put something amazing out. Are you
Yeah.
talking about when's the next one? All right, I gotta go back to the drawing board. Now I can't wait on someone else to provide the event. I gotta make events.
Yeah.
I gotta essentially crack open that book and figure out ways to show the people what I've been working on. Whether it was clothes, curating music, and putting it all together where again people understand me a little bit better. I think each show people are understanding who Cal is, you know.
All right. So,
But I'll definitely keep people posted on the next upcoming shows and events that I come up with soon come.
and I'm gonna definitely be there.
That's it,
You got
man.
my word.
I'm gonna hold you to it, man.
Listen, I'm there for you. So here I go. Okay.
Here.
Will my standards be my downfall, or the wherewithal to pay it forward? I wake up half full and only end up full by pouring into other glasses. The depth of my chalice is not easily fathomed, though. How far can a gratis steward lead, clothes tattered and torn from a journey that mitigated my gall, calloused my palms, left scars on my heart, burdened me with a calm that leaves me directionless, as I spend every day in the eye of the storm. Yet still I no longer am amused by the towering cumulus that loomed over us, or plan to succumb to a fate based on the odds that doom most of us. I mean, what could expectations be in conditions meant to break us, with drugs meant to never wake us, while they shoot, hang, or bury alive those that decode the matrix. Which leads me to realize my standards can be both and so much more. It's the light of hope when dusk arrives too early that drapes me in warmth in the bleakest moments while waiting for dawn. And if at the cost of my downfall, I'll continue to pay forward. And when my legs give out, I pray to have made it to you so I can pass the baton. This is something to hold us.